United States submarine base at Key West, Florida. A dispatch that quoted President Truman's press secretary, Charles Ross, as saying that President Truman has no knowledge of any secret project by this government that would give substance to the existence of such objects. Ross also said that both the Air Force and the Navy deny that such objects exist.
Hi.
Oh, hey.
Sorry that we didn't record last week.
Yeah, tell them why, Chelsea, because Chelsea's been sick and she refuses to seek help.
Yeah. I just don't trust medical science will do right by me.
Well, we're going to still do the full amount of Spooktober episodes, so we'll just double up next week.
Perfect, yeah. We started the episode notes and it was just literally like, hey man, I'm way too sick to record today. Can we record tomorrow? And then that was like every day up until now.
Yeah.
Where I'm just
literally up
myself.
until like yesterday, and you still sound like shit.
Yeah, and I'm just muting myself every time I need to cough or blow my nose, which is gross, but you know.
Yeah. There she goes again. While she's doing that, hey, what's up? My name is Noelle, and unlike Chelsea, I am taking my medical concerns and everyone's medical concerns about me seriously, and I am seeing a gastroenterologist in November.
Maybe I'll go to the doctor tomorrow. And I'm Chelsea. And medical science has wronged me, so I turn to the internet to tell me what's wrong.
That's because you find your doctors on like the fucking backlist of Craigslist.
I want a doctor who has an internet footprint, so to speak. But those types of doctors have a footprint for a reason, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. You know, I was actually going to tell you, I asked our coworkers if they had any like good female doctors in our area that are covered by our insurance that, you know, are accepting new patients. And I got 2 recommends. One of them I'll go with. The other one, her bio was like, she's a homeopathic doctor first.
A second, it's a homeopathic doctor. I fucking hate him.
I was like, oh, maybe this will be right up Chelsea's alley.
No.
Since she refuses to accept medical science.
Let me talk. Homeopathic doctors are probably what has marred me from like medical science or just from wanting to see doctors in general. Because when I go to a doctor, I want him to be like, yeah, fucking take some medicine. We're going to do it. I'm going to draw your blood. That's great. I don't want to go to a doctor who's like, maybe if you breathe and practice, maybe like take a few deep breaths and meditate, you'll feel better. I hate that. And I feel like I always get that. I go to like just IHC and I always get the like fucking hippie dude. I want the most conservative piece of shit wig ass doctor to just go by the book.
You can have my doctor. So I got recommended a doctor who was basically like, so you ask for anything, he's prescribing something, what some might call a candy doctor. And it's true. I went in and he gave me some stuff and I was like, damn, okay. But I also do not trust this man with my asshole. So that's why I was like, you know, it is what it is.
General doctor is great. When I like go to see him for regular stuff, I have nothing but good things to say about that man. I will die to protect him and his children, to preserve his lineage. The issue is like doctors for the jaw, doctors for headaches, doctors for OCD.
Yeah, I
have to go into specialized stuff.
You always get the weird homeopathic doctors who are like, have you thought about pickled ginger on your tongue? And you're like, no, dog, did you go to fucking medical school? Yeah, what are you talking about?
Cut off a piece of your lover's hair and blow it into the east at sunrise. I'm like, I'm like literally coughing out like just globs of blood pus. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, help me.
Yeah. Speaking of Jesus Christ helping us, make sure to follow us individually. That's Sith Lord. I'm Noelle Fain on Instagram and Twitter. Fucking find us on Facebook, I guess. I don't really use it, but you know what you can use? The Facebook group, which is Go to Hell Podcast. It's a private group. You do have to answer some questions to get in, so we know you're not a bot or a Nazi. After that, of course, follow the podcast on Instagram and Twitter as well. Go to Hell Podcast. Support us on Patreon. We put out a fun episode this week. Very fun, very adult, very medical, very real. Honestly, too real. Sometimes that's that's the downfall of Patreon. $1 gets you in the door. Hang out there, and of course, if none of that sounds good to you, Discord always.
And I do want to give a shout out to an Instagram user who messaged the podcast. Alora Craft gave us superb crystal recommendations.
Well, if you actually paid attention, she messaged us on Patreon first, but then I told you not to look at the Patreon messages because her and I were conversating about a crystal that I bought you, so I didn't want you to see it.
Oh.
But she gave us absolutely fantastic advice, and I actually purchased you and I one of those soul bracelets from the link that she sent.
Yeah, I asked her, sent me the link to the shop that she recommended, but I asked her which crystals would get my dog to like me as much as he likes my partner. And she recommended smoky quartz, pink calcite, and rutilated quartz, and amethyst. And then I looked up what like rutilated gems were. Fucking gorgeous, man. It's like it's like the lines and like the crisscrosses and rocks. So anyway, thank you so much. That actually like really made my day.
Yeah, that was such a great DM. No, I'm absolutely about that. That I forget the name of it. I think it's called like the Soul Stone. I don't know. The combo. The combination
Thanos
of it all. Yeah, the Thanos stones. Also, speaking of Crystal Girls in our DMs, shout out. Y'all really killing it. All my homies are hooked up with that black tourmaline now and the hematite positivity rings, and Chelsea got hers on, I got mine on.
This is my original.
Yeah, well mine lost it in Louisiana throwing money on a stripper. It shattered into a million pieces, which I was like, that's for real. But also my partner is closing a lot of very big deals, making a lot of money, and guess, who got like a custom crystal pack? He did. So I feel like the two things are connected. It definitely is not like, his, grit and hard work and dedication and talent. No, it's absolutely the bag of crystals that I gave him.
Speaking of crystals / you got it for your birthday, which was on Monday. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
I'm so mad at Dag Ferk for fucking ruining it. So at our company, we have a guy who does listen to the podcast. So thank you for listening. Who's in charge of gifts. And he reached out to me. Hold on, I have to call.
This is actually a very disappointing story. It does hurt my feelings. For those who have been around long enough for the FearCon episodes and know about Dag, who is the Great Dag on YouTube if you want to kill yourself, and he played young Michael Myers in the Halloween Rob Zombie remake.
Yeah, the little blonde weirdo kid. He was also the French kid who was like, "Eh, fuck you," in Hancock to Will Smith.
Yeah, he also played a school shooter, which I think is his most realistic role.
He looks like one. Mm-hmm. So this guy messages me, our coworker, and asks like what Noel would like, and he mentioned that he got a Funko Pop, which I genuinely was like, no, not a Funko Pop because you don't like them, which is fair. I was actually trying to help. But what happened was the seed of opportunity got planted in my heart and a mighty oak grew. Yeah. So I was like, who Noel loves? This guy, Dag Ferk. And I just happen to know that he has a cameo. So I got...
Just so happened.
Yeah, we booked it. I was like, oh, he does freestyle rap.
By the way, it was a $25 cameo, which is a screaming fucking deal.
Still, to be fair, I wanted to see if Brendan Fraser had one first. So I'm not like a complete bitch. But Dag Ferk took the fucking money and then canceled.
Yeah.
Ruined Noel's birthday. So now you get the Funko Pop.
Yeah, I do want to say that Dag did for sure ruin my birthday because I think I could have lived a longer, happier life not knowing that I was potentially going to get a freestyle rap cameo from Dag. Yeah. But then when I was told, not only by our, the birthday manager at work, but by you, I was like, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. Like, this is the worst news. And he's gone unavailable on Cameo. So like, I don't know if everyone wants to turn their notifications on for his cameos when he's back. If you want to see what you're getting into, again, The Great Dig on YouTube. He puts out more videos than We Breathe Air. It's honestly, I don't know how he has the time. And they all sound like sadness. And
the only thing that he fills his free time with when he's not making videos is ruining fucking birthdays, man.
It's true. That is actually true.
On my deathbed, where I'm like, I was dying. I had the most like, I clocked out for the day where I was like, get her Dig. And then I like laid in bed and I was like, I was like,
yeah.
The fucking Emperor I was like fucking Palpatine, like coughing and laughing, like just in bed. And then I come back because I was called in sick, was gone for forever. And then they're like, Dig canceled.
Yeah.
That's why I think I'm sick. I think he broke my heart. And now,
yeah, you've been dying of a broken heart.
Yeah,
that is for sure. That is for sure it. You know, Dag looks like he smells like a guy who only takes resin hits, as in like he's scraping the bottom of the barrel of his pipe and just, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Dag, and I know this because we've met him in person, is the kind of guy where if you try to like banter or fucking have any friendly interaction, he's like, he's acts like he's too hot shit to like even give
He
you the
was
time.
wearing overalls with his nipples out, no shirt. This is a song he wrote called TikTok Pants. I just wanted to give you guys a little listen. This was 2 weeks ago. That's why he couldn't do the cameo. He's been making music, dog.
Ain't no room in the backseat, so we fucking the front. She in love with my acting. I'm pumping the buzz. I'm in it for a fraction. A little fun. I said, baby, what's happening? She's making me done. She got the TikTok pants. Yeah, do the booty dance. Running up them bands. Yeah,
what is TikTok pants?
Dance pants hands. Fucking puts Eminem to shame.
She got TikTok pants.
Anyway.
So dumb. That made me so dry. It's convenient because we're going to talk about a desert in the episode today, but like.
Yeah. Oh, also, Wild Wood Owl on Etsy for stickers.
Oh, yes.
Pins.
Also, Teradoki doesn't have official podcast merch, but
makes the coolest animation.
We're just I'm obsessed with her stuff. I have like her Sakura sticker that I keep on my desk. Like
I don't. Yeah, I have the
like
entire.
One of the stickers I've had to preserve.
I have the entire JJK Jujutsu Kaisen line she did, including the "Thank you so much, a best friendo," which I have on my laptop right here. And then if you want some podcast merch, the links to the shops are in the bios online, specifically the Instagram one. Mm-hmm. I was actually thinking
all that money goes to the artist. We don't make any off of that, so these aren't shameless plugs. It's just like support them. Valid.
I was also thinking about doing potentially a shirt, a cult member shirt. I was thinking about it.
Yeah, let's start.
I was not sure how I wanted to do it, whether I wanted to put it on the store Envy or whatever it's called, Teespring.
Like a bonfire?
Or a bonfire. I haven't decided yet. Yeah, but anyway, keep an eye out for that because I want to do that. And then I want to donate all of the money to the Satanic Temple and their mission right now to help women in Texas who need assistance with terminating pregnancies. So
yeah,
keep an eye out for that. But anyway.
So Noelle and I last night went and saw one of my favorite bands in the entire world. The Who, not the Who, WHO, but the Who, HU, which is Mongolian throat metal.
Yeah.
So fucking good. Like easily, I don't know what they're saying. It's like all in Mongolian, but like just, so when I'm singing along, I'm like, it's, which.
It was, can I say something here? Yeah. And don't take offense to this. I thought this was an Oliver thing, which is Chelsea's partner. I thought this was an Oliver thing. And when we walked out of that venue and you were like to him, so what did you think? And he goes, it was interesting. I was like, so this is for real, just Chelsea was about this. This was just your I listen to Viking metal. So Hungarian throat metal wasn't too much of a stretch, but it was um interesting.
Yeah. And I have like an entire folk metal playlist that I can share with people if you want to hear it. But like The Who, Ichabod and I have been just following them for a while. And like, so I was so fucking sick last night, just like hacking into my mask. But my God, so fucking, the thing with it too is like they integrate like Mongolian cultural war cries and like instruments, and then they put it into that, but it's like fucking metal. Oh my God, it was so good.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wolf Totem is like amazing. Juve Juve U is my personal favorite song that they have. But what happened was the religious experience derailed what the episode was going to be about today into a Mongolian episode.
Yep. As will happen. Don't worry. I didn't spend countless hours researching the other topic. I'll let you have this because I'm letting you have this because next week we're doing double episodes. So
perfect. So for those of you who also went to public school in the United States, Mongolia is situated just between China and Russia.
This is important information. Thank you, because I had no idea.
Yeah, I had to look it up myself. And so sorry for coughing. Most of us know about Mongolia either because Disney's Mulan, the enemies of Mulan in that were Mongolian nomads, or because like most of us understand that Genghis Khan existed and he came from Mongolia.
Mm-hmm.
Genghis
also
Khan,
great barbecue.
Yes.
Mongolian barbecue, my top 5. Honestly, Charlie Chow's Mongolian barbecue, like their dragon grill is what they call it. I would say a deathbed meal for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, the guys in The Who are snackety snacks.
They are all very snack.
They could like text me at 2 a.m. and be like, "You up?" And I would wake up. And,
I would go where I would get on a flight.
Yeah, I would too. And that's saying something because I don't get on flights.
Yeah.
So
beautiful coughing here. She's still muted.
Whoops. I'm trying to mute when I cough. And
I'm going to announce every time you cough. Yeah.
Ugh. So Genghis Khan was a Mongol leader who was born in 1162 and had such a prolific military prowess.
Isn't that actually not how his name is pronounced?
It's like Chengiz.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to just keep pronouncing it like my super Western way.
Yeah, because we went to public school. It's our parents' fault.
I don't think it's offensive.
You say that, it probably is. But again, we don't take that route. We take I'm so sorry we went to public school.
When I was doing the research, I didn't come across anything that mentioned that the Genghis Khan pronunciation. But I do make huge strides to pronounce other Mongolian words in this episode by like typing them out phonetically in every show note. But anyway, so sorry. And Genghis Khan was so successful at like being an emperor, taking over lands, like planting his flag in all these different nations, that today 1 out of every 200 men in the world is a direct descendant of the Mongolian emperor.
Which isn't actually a great statistic when you think about how that happens. You know, consent, not a word he
right.
Know. He didn't
Dude
know that
was
word.
Prolific and
horrible.
Yeah. And I want to describe the climate of Mongolia here, not to get too boring, but just so we can get an idea of like the specific area that we're talking about. So naturally being situated next to Russia, I thought that it was just going to be like snowy terrain all year long. I just assume Russia is just like cold and sad all the time. But it's actually more similar to Utah in the sense that it's high in elevation and it has a very cold and dry climate. For years, the nomads of Mongolia whispered about the deserts and the presence of a mysterious creature roaming the deserts. This creature hid just below the ground surface and would attack the nomads whenever its territory was disturbed. And this cryptid is known to the Mongolians as the Olgoi-Khorkhoi. Olgoi-Khorkhoi.
Nice.
I wrote that out phonetically, so I would.
She sure did.
Whoa. So the best way to describe the Olgoi-Khorkhoi is to envision the sandworms of Dune, but like much smaller and more sinister and more deadly. And these little reptiles have the body of a snake, but the head of a monster. And the only way I could really compare it or like mishmash it up would be like a lamprey. But with like jaws that kind of like extend outward, but like long tendrils, and then the ability to spit acid.
Yeah, it looks like, so they call it the Mongolian death worm.
Which I'm not calling it that.
But
I'm calling it the Olgoi-Khorkhoi.
I do like the Mongolian death worm though. And it just looks like the world's worst centipede a little bit, minus all the leggies. Or actually, you know when they do like microscopic zoom ins of parasites and they have the most horrific mouths with layers of teeth?
That's exactly it.
That's what these look like.
I got snake with lamprey with like a blast-ended scroot from Harry Potter with like dune sandworms. Like it's just kind of like an unappealing looking monster.
Yeah.
And the Olgoi-Khorkhoi is so deadly for two reasons. And there's actually an entire book about these cryptids, and it's called The Beasts That Hide from Man. And one of the reasons why it's so deadly is because it hides just beneath the desert sands, and it quickly emerges as soon as it is disturbed, and it quickly squirts a poisonous and very acidic substance onto anything and everything close to it. The goo that it spits out adheres to the victim, and it simultaneously acts as like an acid that burns into the skin so that the poison can penetrate into the bloodstream, causing a horrific and painful death.
Yeah. And also, it's said to resemble a large, fat worm up to 1 meter or 3 feet long and dark red in color with spike-like projections at both ends.
People have seen it, have described it as like, it looks like intestines, like, because they like blob. Like, if you like,
and also like dark
out.
red in color. Like, that's gross. It
is very gross. And before anyone thinks that like a little Mongolian Olgoi-Khorkhoi like spitting out acid or like being that dangerous, the Beasts book highlights that this isn't like too far off of what we see in nature already. Specifically that it probably absorbs elements or different things from its diet in the same way that like South American dart frogs are able to derive toxins from their environment, because like you can't even touch those without feeling like you're immediately being shot.
Yeah, and it's literally just the environment, because if you know anything about dart frogs, I don't know if I used to a little bit. I used to have a few. When raised in captivity, they're completely harmless. They do not create and secrete the toxins. When in their natural environments, whatever they're eating and however they absorb that like energy, that's when they turn into quote unquote poison dart frogs, in which the oil secreted off of them will fucking paralyze you and kill you.
Yeah. So it's really not that far off. And the next way that the Olgoi-Khorkhoi kills is definitely more subtle and like more terrifying, in my opinion. So locals in the area have talked about when they're moving herds of like cattle or horses or other livestock, they'll pass over an area of sand in this desert and boom, all their animals just start dropping dead. It's like fucking Squid Games. You know what I mean? Like the red light, green light, people are just like, pop, 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 pop. And it's only when the shepherds like kind of like disturb the surface that they see small infestations of these Olgoi-Khorkhoi that are kind of like wriggling around, and then they just burrow even deeper. The locals know to like not fuck with them, because obviously it can take out like half a herd just by disturbing the sand. But it's like super devastating, and they become like very prevalent in Mongolian culture, where they are accepted as like not being a cryptid in the way that we accept Bigfoot, but just like maybe an animal we haven't discovered yet.
Yeah.
And what was so fascinating about the Olgoi-Khorkhoi is how prevalent they are in Mongolian culture, but like how infrequently they're talked about in the cryptid circles. specifically because there have been multiple scientific expeditions led to find actual specimens of the Olgoi-Khorkhoi, and these have been government sponsored by the Mongolian government itself.
Well, I feel like our government is also kind of low key looking into some cryptid stuff. I mean, they admitted that like UFOs are real, but I honestly think that because when you look up illustrations of what they think the death worm looks like, also by the way, the translation means large intestine worm of what you say. Will you say it again?
Olgoi-Khorkhoi.
There you go. That means large intestine worm.
And I could be saying it wrong, but
Probably,
man,
but I
it's
refuse
like
to put my,
Olgoi-Khorkhoi. Like it's
I
more
refuse to
glottal.
put myself in that situation, so I'm just going to call it the death worm. But like literally when you look at the illustrations of it, it looks like the parasitic worms or like the bacterial
100%.
worms under a microscope. Like even though we don't see it every day, like they don't pop up on the sidewalk after a rain, like that type of species exists. It's not far-fetched to say. So I think that because of that, because it's more rooted in a little bit of reality, I don't think the cryptid community latches onto it as much because
Yeah.
even though it's called like the fucking death worm, it's not like a giant sandworm from Beetlejuice. It's not the
Right.
giant worms from Dune. It's a fairly reasonably sized animal slash cryptid. And because I think it lacks those extreme qualities that like, you know, everyone's favorite cryptids has, I feel like that's why it falls off. It's like not a part of the classic circle of cryptids.
Yeah, I would agree. It's like less sexy too, you know, like
Yeah.
the animals just drop dead. That's boring. If we want to talk about like cattle mutilations of like Skinwalker Ranch, that's way more like interesting. You can see the damage. You can see like, oh, obviously something has been here. But for something that leaves like no trace, people definitely lose interest to it.
Yeah.
But that being said, the Mongolian government definitely takes it seriously. So, for example, in 1922, the Mongolians granted American paleontologist Roy Andrews the necessary permits to search for dinosaur fossils in the Gobi Desert under one condition, that he was also expected to procure information and evidence about this mysterious creature that was tormenting and killing people in the area. Andrews didn't find anything to really help shed light on the Olgoi-Khorkhoi, but he did create enough of kind of a dossier where in the 90s, Czech explorer Ivan Mackerly picked up where Andrews left off. And he managed to gather the most information about the Olgoi-Khorkhoi during his expedition, noting that locals described it, and this is a quote from Carl Schuker's blog spot. This is the guy who wrote that beast book.
Love a good blog spot.
Well, he wrote the book, man, and then he also has a website about his book. But quote,
spot.
According to eyewitness testimony, the mysterious sausage-shaped creature resembles a living intestine. Red in color with darker splotches, it measures 1 to 1.6 meters long and is thick as a man's arm, but has no discernible scales, mouth, or even any eyes or other recognizable sensory organs. It is said to be truncated on both ends, but according to some accounts, at least one end bears a series of long pointed structures at its tip. So these are like the little like tendril teeth things that come out. But just like imagining that, like I would imagine a snake, that's fine. A lizard, that's fine. But like for some reason, like an intestine where there's like no scales on it and it's just like writhing around and it's like fucking deadly.
Well, they're like zoologically, when they talk about what this would actually look like, they're like, yeah, worm best describes it. But because of like the inhospitable landscape of the Gobi Desert, it couldn't be soft and fleshy like a worm. It would have to be like the texture of a snake or like a legless lizard. So like a vertebrate animal.
Yeah. And we'll definitely go into like what they think it could possibly be. But yeah, it definitely can't be a worm. So I refuse to call it that. I would call it an Olgoi-Khorkhoi. But Mackerly's dossier about the Olgoi-Khorkhoi to this day serves as the most informative collection of evidence about this particular cryptid. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence is the death of one of his guides on an expedition where at one moment he seemed to be totally fine and the next he just dropped dead on the sand. So just before the guide's death, he had been kind of absentmindedly disturbing the sand where he sat. And as Mackley investigated the area with an iron rod, guess what he found just below the surface? A bunch of wiggling little Olgoi-Khorkhoi. And a small Olgoi-Khorkhoi wriggling around like a pissed off snake quickly descended back into its sandy home. And the men were way too fearful to get close to it and could only really watch in amazement and wonder. Because what really interested Mackley the most was that his guide did not physically touch the Olgoi-Khorkhoi, meaning he had no skin-to-skin contact. So the same way we would need to get the toxins off a dart frog didn't happen with this guide, but he still died. Because the guide's hand was completely wrapped up at the time of contact, and there were no physical wounds on the man, which led the explorer to wonder if the creature had other deadly defensive mechanisms, which would be more closely related to electric eels. So a lot of people have tried to explain what the Olgoi-Khorkhoi could be, specifically wondering why it has to even be a cryptid at all and why it can't just be a species we haven't discovered yet. And this is where put in all caps. Oh, go ahead.
They haven't found one because the Mongolian government is still offering rewards for a specimen live or dead, and no one's found one.
Right. And here's where I want to be pedantic and just say that what is a cryptid but a species we haven't fucking discovered yet? And I thought this like electricity aspect of the worms being electrically charged was like really interesting. But let's kind of dive into the climate and start ruling out some different species. So like Noel mentioned, like just by being in the desert, it cannot have the soft skin that we see in worms. And it also can't be an amphibian because desert climate does not work well for like water permeable skin. So amphibians would not be able to survive in a Mongolian climate. So this means that of all the animals that we know of to exist, just based off the description of the Olgoi-Khorkhoi, it has to be some sort of reptile. And according to the author of The Beasts That Hide from Man, the Olgoi-Khorkhoi is most likely a species of amphisbaenian. Now, I just want to stop really quick because like I listen to this Stephen Hawking motherfucker right here. I tried to look up the let me share my sound. I tried to look up the pronunciation of this, and it was just like it was so fucking unhelpful. So here we go. Let me know if you can't hear it, but it's loading.
Amphisbaenian. Amphisbaenian.
What?
Amphisbaenian. Amphisbaenian. Amphisbaenian.
It sounds like a slur.
Amphisbaenian.
Unhelpful, right? I'm like amphisbaenium. And that's what he's saying, but it's like amphisbaenium. That's unhelpful, right?
That literally sounds like a slur.
Anyway, so that's how you apparently say it. I didn't really know what these were, but apparently we do know what they are. We just never call them amphisbaeniums. But they're just like really fat snakes with tiny little hand nubs. Some of the snakes don't have little hand nubs at all, but people much smarter than us decided that they don't count as snakes still. But they're what people call, like affectionately call like a mole lizard. They're those weird, like long, like scroot things. You know what I mean? And they are subterranean. So they do mimic a lot of the behaviors of the Olgoi-Khorkhoi. Except I could not find a single species of these amphisbaeniums which were as deadly as what the Olgoi-Khorkhoi is supposed to be.
Also, the Olgoi-Khorkhoi is in Final Fantasy online.
Oh, that's fun.
As like a monster cryptid you have to fight. Just so everyone knows. It all clicked to me. Anyway, go on.
Perfect. So the next obvious choice of what the Olgoi-Khorkhoi could be would have to be a snake. First off, because like we know snakes can spit. Everybody knows that cobras spit and snakes thrive in deserts. But another thing I want to dive into specifically is the whole electricity thing. I stuck on that like stink on a mattress because I was like an electric fucking snake. Because we all know eels, like what's an eel if not like a sea snake? And there are sea snakes, but like specifically electric sea snakes. Mm-hmm. So remember, Mackerly's guide dropped dead with no visible signs of venom, toxins, acids, or anything else. So his comrades suspected he had been electrocuted. And now let's talk about electrocution when it comes to snakes. Are there electric snakes? No. But something that does exist is called triboelectricity. This is not a conspiracy. Triboelectricity is when something can get an electrical charge generated completely by friction. So the best way that I can describe it is, when you open up those packing peanuts and they all stick to you, those are not electric beings. We are not electric beings. When we opened the box and created friction, they got a static charge, which made them sticky. Or a different type of friction, if you want to think about it, is when a snake slithers or burrows in a Mongolian desert. And also, triboelectricity is something that has been seen in snakes before. And some snake species are able to generate electrical charges simply based on where they're slithering at in their habitat. So it isn't far off to believe that something like the Olgoi-Khorkhoi would be able to harness the power of electricity and like turn it to murder easily.
Well, I mean, the fact that electric eels exist, kind of like, yeah, sure. A fucking snake could probably create some ion charges and generate electricity.
Yeah, specifically because like the Olgoi-Khorkhoi notoriously are constantly like burrowing in the sand. They're not slithering on the surface. They're never on the surface unless their like little habitat is exposed.
Yeah.
So makes sense. Hold on,
There she goes. She's coughing and just so everyone knows.
So something quite fun to think about is that Macaulay took a leaf out of Dune's book, like literally. When the sandworms of Arrakis and Frank Herbert's novel are summoned, it's through vibrations or explosions. Macaulay tried both of these methods to expose the Olgoi-Khorkhoi, but the experiments actually led and no specimen results. So before you really dismiss, like, hey, all these scientists have tried and have yet to find an actual specimen to study, I want to direct everyone's attention to another research team who was led by a man named Adam Davies, who went to Mongolia in 2009 with the same expectations. Like he wanted to find an actual specimen of the Olgoi-Khorkhoi. But as we later found out, he was giving an interview to a New Zealand newspaper, and he was saying that they were successful in finding evidence of the Olgoi-Khorkhoi, but the Russian government would linger so close to any of these scientific expeditions that anytime something was found, the fucking Russians, man, came in and confiscated all of their research and evidence and their hard work. They're like, yeah, you can talk about it, but like if you try to prove it, like.
Interesting. What's the MO there? Like, yeah, why?
Yeah. Well, so the Gobi Desert is definitely a land of mystery. And I think this is kind of like fill you in on why the Russians would be interested in it. So the eye of locals, like the Mongolian nomads, have constantly had their eyes drawn to the Gobi Desert. And it makes sense why the Russians would also want to keep a close eye on it and prevent any secrets, specifically anything that would give them a military edge from getting out. So as the Dawn article states, in theosophical terms, an interesting part of the Gobi Desert is its geographical aspect. Though Gobi does mean very large and dry, legend says it was once a fertile land with a river inlet or lake and was home to a sacred island where enlightened people lived and took refuge when the world was overtook by sinful and materialistic people hundreds of centuries ago. The last time the Gobi Desert was changed into a sea was 10 or 12,000 years ago. But the wars between the prophets of good and evil forces and the bad treatment meted out the prophets of the right path by the people of the left. It drained the land of its water and turned it into the dry, arid region that it is today. So what I'm thinking is you have this land that's covered in water. You have like a species, like deep sea species that lives there, super deadly, kind of similar to an electric eel, kind of not. Suddenly has its habitat change, adapts to survive, and then you get like these mysterious land cryptids that we know to this day. It has like all the mysteries of the ocean, all of like the fucking craziness of like the adaptation and being undisturbed for tens of thousands of years. And now we have the Olgoi-Khorkhoi perpetuating this, this cryptid myth that we have today. And the Russian government's fucking privy to it, man. They don't want people to know that they have this like ace in the hole, like weaponry that can like kill people without a trace. Like you can literally hide it out. I mean, Russia's not too happy with what's going on in the Middle East. What happens if they transplant a whole bunch of these like Olgoi-Khorkhois in,
Oh.
turn
You
different areas in
better
their favor.
You better tread lightly with what you're saying
I
right
know.
now.
But
gonna
I
put
do
targets
also
on
want to
our
say
back.
that when I was trying to order parasitic things off of a Russian website for weight loss
God,
purposes, the fucking KGB sent me an email.
Yeah, I bet they did.
So
I bet it was for sure a real Russian website that was selling
they
tapeworms.
told me that they needed like my PayPal logins and things like that. But I'm just saying the Russians have
you
the fucking monopoly.
You almost got Tyler, dude.
Yeah.
They were like, we need your PayPal logins and your social
I'm
security.
just saying. Well, I'm, even drunk, I still know I can spot most scams. I got scammed on your wrapping paper. And I got scammed on. Yeah, I know the wrapping paper was hardly a scam. But I'm just saying the Russians.
An absolute win.
So for those of you who don't know, I tried to order Noel. I saw an ad for like custom Brendan Fraser wrapping paper, and it was just his face over and over again. So I ordered it. But what I got was like a poster of like a shitty MS Paint collage of blurry Brendan Fraser.
So beautiful. It's like it's a literal poster size picture collage of only his face, like, but different from different movies and different pictures. Like the enhanced crying eyes of him, and some of it is like metallically printed and some of it is not. It's one of the best things I've ever seen.
Another thing is like it's not like a clean edge. It's like somebody printed it and then just cut it with the shittiest scissors in existence. Like if you look at the edges, and I got it in the mail, and I was, game recognizes game, because I gave him a 5-star review. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, I think that they scammed me, but what I got, I'm happy with. So you know what?
Yeah, I think they're like, if this person is coming to us for this Brendan Fraser wrapping paper, they're gonna much prefer my handmade custom design.
Yeah, just a single poster is like an entire tube of wrapping paper.
Yep.
Anyway. The fucking Russians, man. All I'm saying is that they're up to a lot of shady shit, but I also love
that we're just really gliding over the fact that Chelsea admitted that she tried to buy tapeworms off of what she thought was the dark web. I was in a dark place.
They're hard to get, man.
Well, you were for sure not even on the parts of the internet, because you have to go to special internet to get.
I tried. I definitely thought I was trying.
You have to get onto the special internet to even get to the area in which you could look for those things.
Yeah, I definitely didn't have the currency that they were requiring.
You didn't have the currency. You didn't have the logins. You were not there. You were on some fucking 14-year-old's blog spot, and he wrote you as the KGB and almost got your ass.
Yeah, it was like an apple cider vinegar tablet, I'm sure. Well, I didn't get it. I ended up just losing weight with diet and exercise. So
great job.
What have you. Anyway, so are the Olgoi-Khorkhoi, what are they? I found a really sad theory about it, and I'm going to end on something sad.
Oh, here we go.
The locals think that they were really aggressive because they were dying out, and they were really territorial, and they were just trying to defend the last little area that they had where they could survive in, but have since become extinct. I like to think that they're out there killing to this day.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to think that they're getting a Russian or two.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we may never know.
Yeah, there she goes. She's coughing again. I'd like to believe that they were once real, and that locals are onto it there, that they were extra violent because they were going extinct, and it was their last hurrah. They're just trying to survive, and that's
like a wounded animal backed into a corner.
Yeah,
they're just swinging and seeing what they could hit at.
Uh-huh. That's
the only way to know is to go to Mongolia and roll around in the desert.
Yeah, definitely do that. Definitely test the theory yourself. Definitely go head out to Mongolia and do some cartwheels and see what happens.
I'm not very good at cartwheels, but I am good at naps. So I can just well, I guess you have to move around. I'll twerk. I'm really good at twerking still.
Do that. I also want you to know that you've been sharing your screen this entire time, and that fucking meme of the Cheeto has just been in my fucking face this whole time. You stupid idiot.
That was crazy.
Someone tried to phish the company.
No, someone tried to phish a company that uses our software, and they got me. And I just disabled their account real quick, and I shared that meme. The guy was like, the person was like, Chelsea, protect me. And I was like, get to the chopper. And all I did was just deactivate their account. But like, I had such big dick energy while I was doing it. And then I shared that meme of where SWAT's going to break down a door. And it was like this guy getting hacked. And then the tiny little Cheeto. Just me disabling their account. It was just essentially all I did was like do a password reset.
Yeah.
But like, what the fuck are you gonna do, man?
Yeah.
So it worked temporarily, but it was wild because I could see them making bank changes to the account while I was like in there.
Oh my
like,
God.
I would switch it to like deactivated, and then I would see like I would refresh, and then I would see like nothing happened, and then I'd refresh again, and I would see them go in, and on the log it was like so and so entered their PayPal information. and then
the owner who was getting hacked was calling you, and they were saying, Chelsea, help me.
They're like, help me. And I'm like, they're like, this person's like gonna like steal our money and stuff. And I'm like, let me see what I can do. And I like felt like a Hackers episode. I'm like, and I'm like, I'm in. But I was just like, click, like deactivating an account is literally just clicking a little toggle. And I was like, boop. And I was like, that should do it until we can find out. I don't know, man. I tracked the IP address, and it was like to a Kazakhstan or something.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Did you tell them?
I didn't want to like, they were like swearing and stuff. And
well, you
like,
should have, because that clearly is like, they got into the email. That's what it was. They got into their email.
Yeah. So I was like, you need to change your email passwords. And they're like, I already reset my password to get into the system. I'm like, it's starting from inside the house, man. You gotta.
Wow.
Also, it was like, it was past when I was off for the day. So I was like working overtime on this. And I'm just like,
hacker man.
Yeah, this poor person. I'm just like coughing and like gurgling snot out of my face onto the screen. And I'm like, we'll get it taken care of.
Oh,
sorry,
shit.
you gotta see the little Cheeto meme I made.
That is good. You should share that with the Facebook group so they can see tomorrow what we were talking about, how I had to stare at that fucking meme for like 5 minutes.
I genuinely
boy.
thought you were looking at like my screen, like where our notes were, not like on the Slack screen.
Nope, I was staring at that meme. Oh, fucking shit. Well, what are your end thoughts? What do you still think it's out there?
I believe in every cryptid. I'm trying to think
That's
if there's
true.
like a cryptid I don't believe in. And the reason why I believe in it is because like I said earlier when I went all caps is like, what is a cryptid but a creature we haven't fucking discovered yet? Like,
Yeah.
officially, you know what I mean? Like I bet you could Google like new species discovered, and it's gonna have something from like this month, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm more inclined to believe in this cryptid versus Mothman, as much as that hurts to admit and say out loud. But
Mothman is different for me. I think Mothman is fun to say as a cryptid, but I would categorize Mothman more in the alien tech like category, and I don't think of aliens as cryptids. I think.
Well, are you also saying that like Bigfoot is a time traveling alien, so he's not a cryptid anymore?
I do think Bigfoot could be an interdimensional being. Bigfoot can fall in both categories. It just depends on how I talk about it. That's the thing, though, is like because Bigfoot crosses barriers in ways that other cryptids don't.
Same with like any of the activity on Skinwalker Ranch. It's like it's past cryptid and gone to paranormal alien. It's all connected.
Yeah. So like Bigfoot, Mothman kind of in the center. I absolutely believe the aliens exist. I believe that Mothman, Bigfoot exist interdimensionally in some capacity. For the Olgoi-Khorkhoi, I think those 100% exist. I believe in every cryptid until you prove me wrong. I dare you to prove me wrong.
That's fair. It's tough to prove you wrong when there's nothing to prove that it's right.
But you know what I do know for sure? That Apollo is so fucking handsome. Just coming up. Look at his profile of Apollo. He is the perfect dog. Look at how handsome he is.
She's calling you cute, buddy.
Next time you come to my house, like I do sincerely want you to bring the dogs down.
Apollo is such a pain in the ass to drive in the car with. You don't understand.
Does he hate it?
No, he wants to sit in the front.
Let him sit in the front. Make Ty sit in the back.
No, it's a disaster. He's a good boy. He's a sweet boy. Just my handsome guy. Just a good boy, Pollywog.
I was reading because like Puffin's been really mean to me lately, but like mean
He's
to me
always mean
passive
to you.
aggressively because he loves Oliver so much more than me, and I'm just shit.
Mhm.
So I was like Googling, I'm like, what makes your dog hate you? And I read myself, bitch. It was like your
It's
dog
you're
hates
too
you because
much.
it's like you're annoying.
Yeah.
Your dog doesn't like your vibes. And it was like you
Yeah.
need to just change who you are fundamentally. And
Your
I'm like,
vibes are a little rancid towards him. I will say that.
I
You're
just
too
love him so
much.
much. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to try to play it cool. But like, I've been sick and I've been watching my dad's dog, Loki, and Loki fucking loves me, hates everyone else. So I got that going for me. But like, it was saying, like, spend time with your dog working because like corgis are herding dogs and they want to work. So I signed him up for agility classes. Way too sick to go to his first class. So Oliver had to go.
Oh, good. Solidifying their bond.
Yeah. I know it backfired.
She's coughing again. Just
But
so
I-
everyone knows.
I'm so sorry, but I have to say, like, seeing some of the videos, like what he's learning is so cute. But I do look forward to Puffin being nicer to me. Like,
Yeah, good luck.
I'll go to like pick him up, and he like
Yeah.
flies away from me. You
Yeah.
know, it's like we are two of the same magnet charges, and he
Yeah.
is just
Oil and
always-
water.
Yeah, like-
Cora loves everyone. If you ever want affection, she'll give it to you.
Bring her
Apollo
over.
Apollo and I have an interesting relationship because like he doesn't really care for me too much, but he likes me more than Puffin likes you. And but Apollo likes me in a respectful way. Like it's like we respect each other. Like like right now where you saw him standing, he's now laying. He lays next to me when I'm working. If I'm in the bathroom, he's outside the door. He lays next to my bed, and if I roll over onto the other side, he'll come over to that side and lay right there. He has to be near me. Even like when a few people came over the other day, and I was sitting in my like smoking chair over there, and he just sat right next to me. Just had to be right next to me, sitting right next to my legs. He doesn't like to be pet. He just likes to be near. He's just around. He just respects my existence a little bit. And I do to him because I know that he doesn't like to be babied. He doesn't like baby talk. He doesn't like to be like pet a whole bunch or like, given loves. Sometimes he'll come over and he'll get a scratch and then he'll leave. But I know how to react to his personality now, and he likes me so much more than he did, but when we first started living together.
He's like a scotch, like just he's a sip and drink, man.
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
over here, I'm trying to like do picklebacks,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I don't think it's physically possible in all dogs. Puffin does have this capability. I swear to God, he rolls his eyes at me every time
He
we
does.
interact. He's
Yeah, he does. I've seen it. It's the way that he like uses his face. He literally just like looks at you and turns away. It's incredible.
yeah, and he's just like this bitch. Like
Yeah.
he has an index finger and he just goes this bitch
Yeah.
and just hurts my fucking feelings.
Yeah,
man.
it's just because you're too much. You gotta press the brakes a bit. You're
Other
overbearing.
people, when they are too much with him, like you've come over and you've been like puff pastry and you've been in his face, fucking loves it.
hmm
I come home and Puffin like packs up his shit and goes to his room.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but I'm
you've
putting
got
him in agility classes.
you've got a lot, of
Right.
making up to do. You're like the overbearing mom. You've got to relax and cool. When I come over, I'm the cool aunt. I go puff pastry, and then I say hi to him, and then what do? Go on to do whatever I
And
was
you guys
doing.
start like you throw out a piece of cardboard and start like breakdancing together.
Yeah, I
And I'm
just
like-
like fuck off, and that's why he appreciates me when I'm around because
Yeah.
I don't try to.
I sniffle a little and then he spits in my face.
Yeah.
Takes a shit on my pillow.
It's true. It's true. Well, Apollo used to shit on me while I slept, and now look at us.
I love it.
We've come
Puffin
so
used to
far.
attack me and draw blood, but
Yeah. So you're, it's getting better.
yeah, the indifference hurts. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like I'd rather have like the physical punishment, so at least I know he like wants to be
There's-
around me.
Yeah, there's pain. At least he has a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. Well, good luck. Good luck. Have fun.
I'll try.
That's the real cryptid.
Fun. Yeah, it doesn't exist.
Puffin's love for you.
Oh my God. I
Has
want
yet
it
to
to
be
be real.
discovered.
That's the only cryptid I don't believe in.
Oh, fucking shit. Well, we want to get out of here?
Yeah, I'm done, man. I want to go take some Robitussin and go to bed. Also, there's been 7 new animals discovered in 2021 so far, including a deadly snake. So,
Great. You hate to see it.
right. I gotta go. I'm tapping out.
Yeah. Go. Hail Satan.
Cough medicine.
This is Chelsea. Hail Satan.